Well, hopefully now the studio's set up the way it's supposed to be set up to actually work.
Well, I look like due process. I want you to get a due process. Sir, there's no jury here. How's there due process? There's no jury in divorce cases. So we're having a discussion. Sir, I'm not at your court. I'm at your court. I'm in my court. I require due process of law. So do you want me to do this or not? Your motion? I've said, you have my filings. I've said it on the record that I require due process of law. I require a verified complaint. And I'm here honorably to settle those matters. There's no controversy. Okay. So do you want me to do this or not? Sir, you have my matters. I require due process of law. I'm really sure you due process of law. Sir, I have not seen a verified complaint. Where's the verified complaint where the claimant will first acknowledge that they may come forward when they settle the matters? No controversy. We're not passing the top verified complaints already. So what you should order, I will put down here, y'all your parent times already. Today, what you filed was a motion for relief from those orders. There's a verified complaint on the record. Yes. May I see it, please? No, sir. I can't see what I'm facing. You were saying, we would have had this here, I don't know what you're talking about. There's a verified complaint on the record. No. So if there's a verified complaint, I'll be happy to see it, and I'll be happy to settle all matters. No controversy. So here we are to your motion for relief from judgment.
Alright. So, welcome back, everybody. Here's what's going on. Is that this man, he's in court. Why is he in court? Well, child support. And putting stuff up on Facebook about court. He's trying to handle this honorably. As you can tell, like, hey, where's the verified complaint? If somebody has one, just let me know. I'll settle it with them. No need for controversy. We don't care about all that. And what does the judicial officer say? He says, well, there's one. Can I see it? No, you've already gotten it. I can't see the verified complaint. And you're going to make me go through this? See? Because the whole time he's saying, due process of law. Due process of law. And the whole way that the due process of law starts is with a verified complaint. Because you see, if nobody says that you didn't do anything wrong, then there's kind of no point for court to exist. I mean, really, it's just that simple. So where are we at? And keep in mind the verified complaint, because you know it's going to be a big issue later. But repeatedly, this man has asked the judicial officer for the verified complaint. The judicial officer says it's on the record. He thinks it's on the record. And he says you've already been served, but we're going to move forward anyways, even though you're telling me you require due process of law, you're performing due process of law, but yet they just don't care anyways.
I think what you're asking to do is change the orders. And you probably follow those very right. And so since you did that, one reason I had this before relief orders. And the next issue that I need your help on is I've got these charges here for civil contempt and criminal contempt against you. Yes. Charles, I live in the Washington County Bar Association. Yes. And my timing is pretty good this morning, I believe. I was contacted by the court in regards to, I believe, this fellow. I'm not sure. I just want to. I'll give Mr. Kent's options. Yes, sir. Mr. Kent, you have the right since you're losing potential jail time for this contempt. You can have an attorney either hire one or employ if you not afford one. And so I kind of need to know. And what my office did was in anticipation of you wanting an attorney and saying to the forward, my office contacted Mr. Lawson and he said he would want to help you on this matter since you're losing jail time. Do you want You want to hire one attorney? You want to say you're indigent, so I can appoint you an attorney? Or you want to waive your right to an attorney in a workers' contempt petition? Sir, man to man, who did I cause a harm to? If I caused a harm to somebody, I'm willing to settle the matter. No problem, no controversy. If that claimant can come forward. I gave you the three options. So tell me which option you want. A, hire your own attorney. B, I'll appoint you an attorney to reset this matter. Or C, you represent yourself. So, I'm here honorably. I'm here to solve all matters. I require a court of law.
Alright, check this out. You see, any court where you can represent yourself, which really means that you're representing a person the create stated for you, so that way they can create you to be a fiction of the law. Any court where you can represent yourself is not a court of law. It's an administrative court, it's a state court, it moves under the state's due process, which is created by the legislature, but it's not a court of law. You see? Because the court of law, the legislature can't just make up the way they move. Can't just make it up. You got to have a verified complaint. You got to have a man or a woman saying they did me wrong to open up a court of law. And he's asking them, hey, we got an attorney for you. This attorney just magically appears. He's a good attorney. He doesn't know anything about your case, but he will represent you, you know, to uphold your rights. Because if you have any rights, they're supposed to be upheld without an attorney. Otherwise, it wouldn't really be rights. Anyways, we got an attorney to represent your legal person that we created for you. That legal fiction created by us. No thanks. You want to know why no thanks? Because, look, I don't even need to be in a court of law if I haven't done any harm, injury, or loss to anybody. So as soon as you bring that forward, hey, maybe I'll decide to take you up on that as soon as I got the verified complaint.
Once the court of law, I'll be happy to meet the claimant in the court of law. No problem. My intent is not to be contentious or cause controversy. My intent is to settle the matters here today. So you want to push your contempt clause through? Sir, I'm man. I'm man. I'm not a legal fiction. I'm man. I have the paperwork that I give you. Do you understand the paperwork? Okay. Well, I don't understand. Sir, I require common law, a court of due process. I require a verified complaint.
You want to see your children? I want to have to see your children. Will you please help me do that?
Sir, I have fought this hard
No, you're
to see.
You're not helping me. I want to help you see your children. I want to restore. You see your children Thursday or Sunday. And you want to help me do that.
Sir, I have a sacred trust with my God Almighty, Yahweh. Man to man, I don't see how you can step over that.
I work again not to record this. I'll put it on Facebook.
Okay, now we're getting to some of the real issues. The last thing you heard him talking about is he better not record this and put it on Facebook. So he didn't record it. Somebody in the peanut gallery must have. Anyways, and I don't post on Facebook anymore. They treat me real weird. Anyways, he's saying, hey, look, anybody has a verified complaint, I'll settle. Due course of law. The judicial officer wasn't having it. What did he do? The first thing he goes to, well, I want to give you your kids back. Well, if you wanted to give my kids back so bad, why'd you take them away? Now I'm supposed to trust you. And what did our man say here? He said, I got a sacred trust with those children. I got a sacred bond between me and God Almighty, the man upstairs. And what does he say? He says, Well, I really want to give you your children back. Man, you don't have the right to give me my children back. Just like you don't have the right to take them in the first place. You don't have the right to give them back to me. That man already gave them. He already gave them. So unless that man doesn't have the right to give children, you don't have the right to give them back to me. You can't give to me what I was already given.
Or you friends. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you very much. But already y'all in the recording and we had a cooperative time soon. So I appreciate you being here.
And that court downstairs ordered you not to post on social media. Yes. At the
Okay, this is this man's ex-wife, ex whatever. This is her testifying on the stand to his Facebook page. Now, I don't know how she has first-hand knowledge because I'm sure that this man wasn't dumb enough to be friends with his wife on Facebook. And of course, his Facebook account is private, so keep that in mind. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
This is her
testifying.
testifying.
Posted on social media from that court as well. Yes, twice. And when he's posted from that court, has he included commentary about this court and this case upstairs in those live streams? Yes. And did you see the court downstairs sentence him to direct contempt for behavior for Judge Arnold? I didn't see it. I was aware of it. Okay. I'm going to ask you to look at the exhibits that we have attached.
Include yourself down with it.
I'm with you, Your Honor. Yes. I'm just trying to get everything muted up here to her. All right. Ms. Shepherd, I'm going to send you the motion for civil criminal contempt with exhibits and the supplement to the motion for civil criminal contempt with exhibits that we filed in the court file. Can you please verify that these are the posts that occurred since the court order and that they are not Facebook or other social media?
So basically right here, can you verify that this is from his Facebook? She takes about a minute and a half to answer, which is kind of strange because if you're the one who created those documents from the Facebook page, you should be able to verify it real quick. Anyways, they basically keep asking her kind of over and over and over again, did you feel threatened by that? Did you think that was insulting to the court? Do you think it was insulting to your attorney, me, whoever's asking the questions? I mean, it's like, do you think he's insulting us? And let me tell you something. If somebody takes your kids away from you, at the very least, you have the right to insult them. Like,
Yes.
you have the right to be verbally insulting to them.
So these are in file, so you're going to make those exhibits as on your file.
Yes.
On exhibit A.
Thanks. Alright, so Ms. Shepherd, I'm sorry, I need to change the name back. This is exhibit A to our motion for civil criminal contempt. This is from his Facebook page, is that right? Yes. Children lose mothers on the double between 1968 and 2020, U.S. Bureau says. Yes. This is also the social media page. This is me, the court finds children shall be raised by the abusive parent and protective parent, probably crazy. That's on his Facebook page, right? Yes. And you take that as big at you? Definitely. You take that as big against the court? Yes. The next one is away, correct? Yes. You interpret that as an insult to you? Yes. The next one, you take that as another insult to you? Yes. And again, you take that as an insult towards the court? Yes. Also, this is the same thing. You take that as an insult towards you? Yes. Towards me? Yes. Towards the court? Yes. Again, this is the Facebook page. Does it say, post the meeting demand report where judges and lawyers make deals before the trial begins in the best interest of their bank account? Yes. Did you take that as an insult towards the court? Yes. And your lawyer? Yes. And again, this is Mr. Kemp's page. Is it Mr. Smith? Yes. That he posted in other news 24.7 million children haven't seen their fathers in a year or more. Yes. Then he posted again on social media, 66 cents of every dollar, best interest of the pocket, hashtag taxpayer crime, correct? Yes. Was that, did you take that to be an insult against you, the court, the lawyer, et cetera? Yes. The whole judicial system? Yes.
Okay, did you just hear that? Here's what just happened. They just said, okay, he's putting up statistics about how many dads haven't seen their children. He's putting up statistics about court, right? And what goes on in the courts. And he's talking about how much dads have to pay in child support and how they should be able to see their children based on what they pay. These are his own personal thoughts and feelings. This is the way he feels going through a messed up situation, having his children ripped out of his life for no apparent reason. Because they were doing 50-50, working it out without the court. What went wrong? What went wrong? Because, I mean, you already heard the judicial officer. He said, I want to give you your children back 50-50 like it was. Why'd you take them in the first place? Obviously, this man's not that much of a threat. He obviously wishes to settle whatever wrongs have been done. He keeps on saying that. But because he has these beliefs about the system, because we took away his children for no good reason, and he talks about statistics of dads who haven't seen their children and child support, and has an opinion about how he should be able to see his children because he's doing all of that stuff, he's a threat and we should lock him up in jail.
I'd like to ask something, sir. Is this a court of law? This is a court of law. And so the court of law recognizes freedom of speech. Does the court of law recognize freedom of speech?
Well, hallelujah! Thank the Almighty. This is a court of law, and it recognizes free speech. We might not have to be worried about having an opinion of our own about people who take our babies.
Alright, Ms. Shepherd, I have a video on my phone where you can play. It's labeled as Exhibit B, and it says this is again, postings in this litigation, filings in this litigation, correct? Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to play a little bit of the video. So he made a video that he posted up on YouTube. And they're using this as evidence against him. And I'm just going to play a little clip of it right around here somewhere. After that, they go back to questioning back and forth. But, I mean, come on, this is all basically the same. There is no verified complaint. There's no wrongdoing. He doesn't know why they're there, and they all feel insulted because he has feelings and an idea and beliefs about when everybody steals his children, how that, well, could be wrong.
And again, was that insulting to you, the court, the system, your lawyer? Is it
Insulting?
No.
Are you offended?
And then again, he's posted on his Facebook page, and are you asking the court to punish him in whatever way the court sees fit because of his complete lack of compliance with any orders the court has made? Yes. Do you think that do you have any hope that he's ever going to behave in the way that he should to demonstrate being a better man at this point? I wish I could say yes, but no, there's no hope. Okay. That's our
Okay, do you think the court should punish him because he's not listening to us when we say, hey, hand over your children? Do you think the court should punish him because he's exposing us on social medias and hurting all of our feelings and supposedly insulting us? Do you think the court should punish him for all of these things because they're bad? Because If he's not going to be a good slave soon, do you have any hopes that he will return to the plantation and be a good slave and just do what he's told? You really wish you could say yeah, but you can't? So you think the court should punish him? I don't know about you, but that's what I heard.
Is this the claimant?
Yes.
And does she have a verified complaint?
Yes.
May I see the verified complaint?
Yes, sir. It's in her rush.
May I see the court so I can... Well, I haven't seen the verified complaint on the record. Is that what it states, is verified complaint?
It's signed.
Did you hear that right there? Is this the claimant? Yes, this is the claimant. Do they have a verified complaint? Yes, they have a verified complaint. Is that what it says? Does it say verified complaint? Well, it's signed. It's signed. Well, praise the Lord. Hallelujah. We got a signed piece of paper. Somebody call Sherlock Holmes off. We've solved this mystery. A piece of paper is signed. Woo!
It's qualified. I'm talking about a verified complaint. Is she saying that I've done harm, injury, or loss to her?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is that harm, injury, or loss?
It's in your petition.
Alright, now keep that in mind. You just heard him say, yes, she's saying you did harm, injury, and loss to her. You just heard the judicial officer say that. Keep it in mind.
Sir, I don't understand. I require due process of law. And if the orders are verified, give them due process, then I'll be happy to fill those orders, no problem. But if they're not, I require a bond be attached to it.
So, David, what question do you want to ask for that?
Alright, let me explain this to you. You remember in the Popo video with Angela where they were trying to take her daughter for about half an hour and then they couldn't because the orders were not verified? Yeah, he's just asking for the verified orders. And he's even saying, hey, if there are orders that are true, verified, and correct, you know what? I'll carry them out as long as they were afforded due process of law, which starts with the verified complaint. And of course, the court's saying, well, we have the verified complaint. We just can't show you because, well, you got served with it at some point in time. We don't know when. We're just the court, and we're supposed to know these things because we are the safeguard between you and a tyrannical government that locks you up for speaking badly about the courts. So trust us.
I'm just wondering who the claimant is and what the verified complaint is. I'm not a party to this.
Okay. So, no questions. Sit down.
So no more questions for the ex-wife. Whatever.
Love the Lord God with all your heart and with all your soul.
Alright. This is where he testifies. This is our man's testimony. I'm going to back it up just half a second here. So here's our man's testimony. Let's see what he's got to say. Let's hear his side of the story.
Love the Lord God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your house and your gates. Now the sacred trust that I have with Yahweh is to raise my children up in admonition of the Lord. I merely require due process. I'm here to require a verified complaint up here on the record. My intent is to settle the matter. It's not to be contentious. My intent is to really, as soon as somebody comes forward with a verified complaint, I'll be happy to render it. There's no controversy. On the orders, you're stating that the orders that you issued prior. Now, I corrected the record, so this was prior. So I've already corrected the record. But you're saying the orders that you issued before were both legal and lawful and due process was afforded on those?
Absolutely.
And you're going to attach a bond to that, swearing that that was a duly qualified order?
I don't know what you mean by bond attached.
If it's not a duly qualified order, then I need to be able to collect that bond to fill that order.
I'm not aware of that in the law.
Well, if the order's not verified, if it's not a duly qualified order, then I require a bond to be attached. I mean, everybody's getting paid in here
What do you think needs to happen for it to be a duly qualified order?
to be legal and lawful
I think it is.
and due process.
I think it is. It's not my order, I think.
Did you just hear him? He said, well, what do you consider a duly qualified order? And he says, for it to be legal and lawful. And the judge says, I think it is. You think it is? You believe it is? You mean you don't know for a fact whether your order is duly qualified, as in legal and lawful, and you're being appointed by the Supreme Court of Tennessee to come and handle this one issue. One issue. And you think it's legal and lawful? You don't know for sure? Wow. Wow. Think if that were you, how would you feel about it? Well, I think it's lawful. See, this is why I gotta have you attach a bond to it. Because that way, when I figure out it's not lawful, and it's just legal, I'm gonna come and take that bond. Because that's how law works. That's how law works. See, back in the day, for them to issue warrants, they would have to attach a bond. Whenever somebody comes and sues you, they would have to put up what they're suing you for. Because if they bring a false claim into the public, you take the bond. That's how you punish wrongdoers and keep them out of court, keep them from bringing their false claims. It's kind of a natural law of things. Pretty simple, I think. But a judicial officer doesn't understand, and he thinks the order's legal and lawful. He ain't know for sure.
January 20th, 2021, where I changed the hearing time from 50 to you getting every Thursday through Sunday, and then
See, just recently, the parenting time was changed from 50-50 to he gets them super, or just for the day, 2 days every other weekend, something like that. But the parenting plan was just changed from 50-50 within the year or something, I believe. But they were doing 50-50 just fine for a long time.
And the freedom of speech aspect of it.
I'm talking about the cities.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, like I said, I'm not here to cause controversy. I'm here to raise awareness.
Me too.
And,
Alright, just like he said, I'm going to get to your free speech here in a minute, but I'm here to raise awareness and not cause controversy. That's what the judicial officer just said. Keep that in mind.
if this is
Actually, that's what the man impersonating a judicial officer just said. The one impersonating one for the state of Tennessee. Sorry about the correction.
a court of law, then a court of law respects freedom of speech, and a court of law grants a trial by jury. Well, I'm saying, you said it was a court. If it's a court of law, then it's a trial by jury. Due process. Due process is a trial by jury.
It's not true. It's not true. It's not correct. It's not.
Did you just hear that? Our man says, well, it can't be due process because with due process, I would have gotten a jury. That's part of due process. You see, in due process, a man or a woman comes with a verified complaint. They place those facts upon the record. I either admit or deny them. And if I deny them, we go before a jury. It's not that difficult. That's pretty much simple due process. Government doesn't get involved. They just witness. They're a third-party impartial witness to what the jury decides between the way you present your case and the way they present theirs. That's due process in a nutshell. And the judge goes, that's not true. That's not true. Due process does not require a trial by jury. He says, that's not true. That's not true. Then he says, strike that. Strike that. It's not that it's not true. It's not correct. It's not correct. And then he goes on to explain, because of the rules of the game, which, you know, our man's been saying the whole time, yeah, I don't wish to play your administrative game. I wish to play the game of law. I don't care to play your administration. I wish to play in due course of law. You know, like every constitution says that you have to provide me that type of court before you can get a lawful judgment against me. That one. I wish to remain in that one. And this judicial officer just doesn't give him a chance, and he's talking about games and how you got to play by the rules. But if you go and watch my proof administrative courts, like the last one I did, at the end of it, it's going to have a man, he's requiring to pull some people back because they committed perjury. And the judge says, reluctantly, I have to let them come back. And he goes, well, one of y'all's playing by one set of rules and one of y'all is playing by another. And the attorney was playing by the rules of civil procedure. And the man was playing by law. Because law trumps the rules of civil procedure. This judge, this man acting as a judicial officer, impersonating a judicial officer, he flips that script. And he lets the non-law win. He lets the statutes win over the law of the man. The supreme law.
Baseball, and I go, you want 4 outs.
Law grants a trial by jury.
Listen to say, strike that from the record.
Well, I'm saying, you said it was a court. If it's a court of law, then it's a trial by jury. Due process. Due process is a trial by jury.
It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's not correct.
It's not correct. He said, I shouldn't say it's not true. It's not correct. You want to know why he has to do that? Because he has to remain in law. True and correct mean two different things. Go read about them. But what he's saying effectively is, that's true. That's true. Due course of law does require trial by jury. But you're going through the due course of the administrative law.
You want 4 outs. I should have 4 outs. Because due process says I should have 4 outs. You don't change the rules, do you?
If that causes a harm, injury, loss.
It's not going to harm anybody. The only person you cause harm to, which is sad, is you, because I want you to have a real relationship with your children. I want you to see that.
Did you just hear that? Okay, so he said there's a verified complaint. It's a court of law. He was getting due process. He's talking about all these things he's getting, right? And then he comes back and he says, if I've harmed anybody, and the man impersonating the judicial officer says, you haven't hurt anybody. You have not harmed anyone. Well, then you can't have a verified complaint. We couldn't have been moving under due process of law. And why am I here? Why am I here? You haven't hurt anybody but yourself. So I'm going to try and get you to believe that because you aren't acting like a good slave, because you're not acting like a good slave, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your relationship with your children because you won't be a good slave. So why don't you just come back over here and be a good slave with us? Why don't you just do that? I want to give you your kids back. But I just got to know you're a good slave first.
I want you to be that. I want you to focus on that here and instead of this constant barrage of irrational behavior, which constant unnecessary means punishing you.
This constant barrage of not worshiping your God, us, the state. That's what I heard.
I don't understand what you're saying. My social media is all private. I don't understand what you're saying about that.
I told you not to. I told you clearly not to do anything about her. Or the one or me on social media.
Well, public and open court recognizes freedom of speech. How is that not freedom of speech?
You can have freedom of speech, but somebody tells you not make individual comments, you not.
Man to man, you can tell me what I can and cannot say.
As long as I'm set up in this road, I can tell you what the law is or what the rules are. And I told you, if you want your children back to where you want, all you have to do is follow my rules, which is pretty simple. Call them. Did you call them?
Yes, sir.
And then
Look, man to man, you can tell me what I can or can't say. Well, I'm sitting up here in the black robe, in the priest robe, and man to man I can't tell you what to say, but as your God I can. And a court of law respects freedom of speech, but guess what? We ain't in a court of law because there ain't no verified complaint. You ain't got no due process, and we ain't gonna find a jury for you, boy. Impersonating a judicial officer. But it's real easy to get your children back. All you gotta do is go back to being a good slave and tell me, yes, master. What could I do next for you, master? That's all you gotta do to get your kids back. Just be real obedient.
and I told you, if you want your children back to where you want, all you have to do is follow my rules, which is pretty simple. Call them. Did you call them?
Yes, sir.
And they said,
I spoke with Health and Human Services.
and they said it can't be taken down.
Correct that. That's correct.
Well, we'll see what they
It's a third party trying to contract with me. I'm not willing to contract with a third party.
I mean, you're here, you don't have to take care of your children more financially because you're a disability.
No, sir. No, sir.
Alright, before he really answers, let me just tell you what's going on right there, because of course I gotta really condense this down, try and save you time. This man is a military veteran. He got handicapped, he got shrapnel, he got hurt somehow. He's on disability. They have been taking his disability checks, the government. You see, because they sent him over, they got him all shot up and blown up, and then they bring him back over here, rip apart his family, rip apart his life through the courts, and then they go after him for the money that he rightfully deserved and got from them. And in their own codes and their own statutes, they say, you can't do that. You can't do that. But they're doing it anyways. And that's what this argument was about. And he's saying, yeah, you can't do that. I called them. They said you can't do that. And the man impersonating a judicial officer is like, well, so you're saying you're not going to take care of your children. And his answer is perfect.
Again, the sacred trust. We each have a right to equally co-parent.
And the trust is caring for your children.
Exactly. I am more than happy to care for my children.
You'll pay school.
Sir, we have a sacred trust.
You'll pay school.
Her and I. Sir, let me explain. I will take care of my children equally. Half the time that she takes care of the children. Half the time. If they're not duly qualified, I would like a bond. I wish the bond to be attached to it. What was it that the administrative court sentenced? What was it that the administrative court sentenced? I think the administrative court sentenced something. The sentencing. The administrative court gave a sentencing.
The administrative court sent you something?
Sentencing. You just
Sentencing?
sentencing.
Put you in jail?
What was the administrative court's sentencing?
Okay. First of all, your criminal contempt, 50 days for 5 separate counts of violations of the court order. We're not going to prove you're not a reasonable doubt. And so, since you did 50 days on that, I'm going to make you serve 20. I'm going to suspend the other 30 based upon your good and long conduct in the future. So, this is the future. If you pay your support, if you attend your parenting class, if you don't pay your anger management class, and you don't make negative posts about your wife or ex-wife or her counsel or this court, then that's all you do. They will do that for 30 days. If you come back and continue this pattern and you violate it again, then you're not come back with an additional whatever else. Other rule was on civil contempt. And civil contempt is different from criminal contempt. Because on civil contempt, you hold the keys to the jail in your pocket. And the keys to the jail in your pocket. So after you serve your 20, on that 20th day, you go ahead and pay your child support, your back child support for May. You go ahead and pay that day, you're out. You get out. Because you got the keys to the jail. If you don't pay it, then you'll sit there until the clerk calls me and says he's not paid, and I'll come back up here again, we'll have another hearing, and you can talk about your ability to pay. So, did I answer that?
Well, I don't consent to the administrative court. If I was facing criminal charges, then I require due process. Well, I don't know. As far as the administrative court goes, and if it's on the record, there is one on the record.
There is one on the record. What's on the record?
Wow. So that guy, he doesn't even know the fact that this is an administrative court is all over the record. When the man asks him, what's the administrative court's decision? He never says that it's not administrative court. He never states it's not administrative court. He's just like, the criminal side found you 20 days at minimum, but maximum 50 days. And on the civil side, well, we're going to see if you pay your child support first, your extortion money. And it's really easy not to go back to jail. All you have to do is you got to quit talking about us on Facebook, first and foremost. You can't have your own mind. You can't think for yourself. You can't insult anybody who does you harm, injury, and loss. And you can't, for heaven's sake, you cannot believe that these are courts of law. This is what it's come down to. The judicial officer said, courts of law respect freedom of speech. Obviously, it's not a court of law. Obviously. And we're going to hold your children ransom. We're going to hold them ransom. That's just how we do. Until you pay us, you get with the program, you act like a good slave. And this is going to happen until we all do something about it. And he told you what due course of law is. I mean, he said straight up. He didn't have a trial by jury. See, he would be okay with it if he got due course of law, but he didn't get trial by jury. If it's criminal, he has the right to a trial by jury. If you're getting locked up, you have the right to trial by jury, because that's kind of what the whole Revolutionary War was about. You know, getting locked up on pretended offenses, which is why you got to have a verified complaint. Anyways, I hope that was educational for some of y'all, but look at what the judicial officer said. He said that he's above your sacred trust with your children. He basically called himself God. Are y'all going to put up with that? We are just conspiracy, and we just wish to conspire with other good people of this planet to leave a better world for future generations and the world we all grew up in. Right now, we wish to conspire to get Angela in touch with her daughter. She still doesn't know where she is. To get Mimi Epstein, her daughter, back. Make sure the right thing happens out in Bend, Oregon with Jessica Hydes. And there are a couple more that are about to be added onto the list. Anyways, hopefully the setup works well. One world, love, and peace.